Yeah.
I'm recording now.
So let's see. There's no go live button. Is it just doing it automatically or?
Mine says it's live.
I think we're live. Okay, awesome. Are we live, do you think?
You gotta check on YouTube to make sure that live button doesn't come up, and click that button on YouTube.
Okay, it just says end stream, so I'm assuming we're all go.
Okay, well, how about that?
Well, let's do it.
I don't see it.
Hi, everyone. Oh, you don't see it yet. Okay.
No.
This happens every time. Is this kind of like a
It's not a thing.
is this an issue with YouTube?
Hang on, I'm going to check your channel. Give me just a second.
While you guys check it, shall we have a chat? In case we are live and anybody's watching this.
How is everyone? Yeah, let's see how everyone's doing.
We are live. Yes, we're just not on that link.
Are we?
What is it about that link? If there are any technical people out there, please help us.
I mean, this is just our thing, isn't it?
It's the AI. They're onto us. They don't want us doing this. That's why. I always blame the AI.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Alice says we're live. Thank you. So we've got Alice in as our moderator in the chat tonight. Thank you so much, Alice.
I'm going to post this in some of our groups while you're chatting, Kaz.
Yeah, I just cannot figure it out. Cannot figure it out. Please, someone, if there's any techie people out there that know about YouTube Live, help me out, guys, please.
You did it, Kaz. You're on that link.
Am I?
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
We're there. I think so.
So what's the topic for today? What are we discussing today?
So we're doing the energetic body today. And every time I say that, I just want to sing like, what's her name, Heather? Like energetic body talk.
Olivia
Newton-John.
I love her. Oh my goodness, I love her.
Oh my God, take me away.
All right, I am just posting this in our groups. Let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
how is everybody?
All good over here.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's just kind of sitting back and being a bit reserved, conserving their energy, maybe.
I don't feel like doing anything at the moment. Nothing at all. Like I have to do lots of things, but I don't want to do them. I just want to sit down and just chill out. Some kind of energy has come in over the past few days, and I don't know if you guys have felt it, but oh my goodness. And my little barometer is always my youngest child, and she's just gone insane. Like 1 minute screaming and crying, the next minute coming out with the most profound spiritual statements, and I'm like, what's going on? A crazy few days.
Yeah, I've just been hearing from lots of people, sorry Heather, that they're feeling that kind of need to pull back from social media, just keep to themselves a bit.
I don't want to look at anything. Nothing.
I'm hearing that things are building up. You start hearing at the end of the year, big things are about to happen. I don't know if you guys see that, but it's almost like we get to the end of the year and all of these big events are supposed to happen. And then we end up in January and you're going, well, nothing really ever happens.
And
I wonder, do we do this every year at the end of the year? Is it just an energy that sort of sucks us in? That we think these big events are going to happen?
I think eventually something will happen. I really do.
So I'm so ready.
Oh God, but it's like, oh God, can I use this analogy? This is probably very, very inappropriate, but I'm going to go there. Screw it. Pardon the pun. It's like when you're building up to having an orgasm and you think this wave's going to be the one. This is going to be it. and then it isn't, and you're like, oh, we were almost there. Let's just try again. That kind of thing. Or when you're having a baby and you're having contractions, it's like that, isn't it? Where you think this is gonna be the one, and then it's not, and you're left feeling a little bit frustrated, thinking, okay, The next one will be all these portal points and solstice points and equinoxes that we go through, and these coronal mass ejections from the sun. They send in the energy, and you can feel it building. And it's like it's like the cork is about to pop, but it never quite gets there. We've got to build
Right.
up some more charge.
Yeah,
We do.
I agree. I was just, I had a session that I transcribed, and it was talking about the birthing and giving birth, and that buildup of, and you hear that with, we're rebirthing new earth, or we're birthing new earth, or however that looks. And we've had so
Yeah.
many people reach out and say, when is this baby going to come? Because we're just over it. Let's get it out,
Yeah.
please.
And I just see all the people that I know that are on the ascension timeline, that are on the new earth timeline, getting more and more healthy, looking better and better, becoming their best selves. And then I see all of the people that I know that aren't on that timeline. They are constantly ill, constantly saying to me, the people that I still socialize with in my family that are on that timeline, oh, I'm ill, I'm poorly, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. And it seems to me now more obvious than ever that we've got these two very, very different polarities of people that currently exist in the same space, but won't be able to exist in the same space for much longer.
Yeah.
Tony, you've been quiet. How do you feel?
Well, I just relaxed, and I just disconnected this whole weekend. Went on a walk through my woods, found lion's mane, just had a beautiful adventure, just disconnected from everything. Of course, I was trying to do a lot of stuff in the physical on the farm too, though, but I just wanted to be in the sunshine and just walk through the woods. That's all I wanted to do.
And you've got that right there on your doorstep to do it. You can just literally, I mean, for you, it's literally like stepping out into new earth right now, isn't it?
Yeah. And Kaz and Heather are pissed because I haven't talked to them much. I'm like, I can't be bothered with that.
We're not pissed. We have a good old time by ourselves, don't we, Heather?
We absolutely do. We don't need you.
That's funny.
There you go.
We miss you a little bit, but we don't need you.
No, we don't need you. That's what my wife says too.
Everybody keeps sending me, I don't know if you guys have had the same, but everybody keeps sending me videos and bits of spiritual intel and truther intel saying that something's building up to occur on the 24th of September. Have you guys
I've
see
heard
anything?
that. Yes, I've heard that so many times.
My wife just showed me something on that too.
But I've seen it from, multiple sources. And that could absolutely be, it could be put out there specifically to harvest our energy around that. Or it could be that there's something in it. I don't know. But I just wondered if you guys had seen it as well.
Well, let's manifest something good for the 24th.
Yeah.
What do we want it to be?
New Earth.
Thank you. New Earth. I'm voting.
New Earth,
I'm voting
24th.
for that.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's official, guys.
We're there. We're there. No more.
What would be the first thing that we would do if we were
Party.
there? How would we do that? What would we do?
Just big bonfire, loads of food.
At my ranch.
Music.
Portal over to Tony's ranch.
Yes.
Right.
And
the portal should be open by then.
We could all stand there and together try and learn how to fly or teleport at the same time. That would be interesting.
I'd be happy just to see people's auras.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd be happy just to see people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Should we talk about the energetic body?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
So, obviously we have our physical bodies, right? And a lot of issues we see in our sessions are from imbalances on the physical body. Symptoms on there are imbalances on the energetic body. And I feel like we kind of group the energetic body just in one big lump, just for the purposes of our sessions. But actually, it's lots of different layers of subtle bodies. So I just wanted to go through some of them, and then we can talk about what we find on the energetic body and how we remove them and all that good stuff. So basically the layers, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You're doing great.
It was all quiet. I was like, are they still there?
We are paying
We're
attention.
listening.
We're listening.
So your sort of layers of energetic body, this is how I understand it, are all connected to the 7 chakras, right? There's probably way more energetic bodies, but I'm going to keep it to the 7. So obviously you have your physical body, your costume, right? Which is the densest part. And then the further out we go, the less dense they become. So you have your etheric body outside of your physical. Then you have your mental and emotional bodies. And these 3 are connected to the lower 3 chakras. And they're associated with your physicality here. And then we have the next 4, which are kind of associated more with your eternal body. So you've got your astral body. That's when you go in a room and you can feel people's energies. Then you have a causal body, which is where your spiritual gifts and wisdom is. And then you'll have your collective body, which is more like a fabric of lots of threads connected to everybody and everything. And then there's a more subtle, even bigger one, which is celestial body, which is just so far reaching. And it's that all-knowing feeling when you're in a session. That's what you're tapping into. And that feeling of being protected and safe as well. So yeah, that's my rundown. Do you guys want to add anything before we talk more about what we find attached to these bodies?
Do my spiel on the mechanical versus electrical body.
Do that body as well.
And that's how, I mean, that's how this all works. That's how whole healing hypnosis works, is because, you know, the medical system wants us to believe that this body is mechanical. So we cut stuff off, we poison things to get rid of it. And it's an electrical body. It flows. It has to flow that electricity. It's like a wiring system in a house. You have your neutral pole, that's the spine. You have the 2 opposite snakes that coil up, which are negative and positive. And if there's a kink in that wire, if there's a blockage, which could be an entity, attachment, emotional trauma, that energy can't flow. That energy can't flow up the body that it's supposed to. So it manifests as an ailment or a problem, pain, some kind of blockage. And it just comes out in the physical that way. So that's how this all works. With us taking off entities and blockages, we get that body flowing, the electrical system flowing like it's supposed to, and it'll heal itself. We have a new body every 7 years. Every 7 years, we have a new body through cell replication. It's a brand new body. So something is being carried forward that we need to remove. So
Yeah.
that's my spiel.
Thank you, Tony.
All of those energy centers, like Tony says, when they are working together as a cohesive whole, they form, in their individualized colors, a band of white light. So you plug directly into source creator at the crown.
Yeah.
But what trauma does in this realm is it causes an imbalance in one of those centers, which then causes them all to unhook from each other and causes an entity to be able to get in. So say, for example, you've got somebody who gets divorced, or they have a bereavement of their mother or father as a child, or they lose their house. That's going to impact their root, because your root is your stability. The next one up is the sacral. That is your creativity, your joy, your sensuality. And as a child, what's one of the first things that happens to us? We get squished. We get told, no, children are seen and not heard. Don't say that. You listen to me. I'm your parent. So a child's expression is squished. So that will then affect the next one up, which is the solar plexus. The heart is so open in children, so open. I saw my child playing, my cat was playing with a fly, and it played with it to the point where it broke one of its legs. And my youngest child was just in floods of tears.
Oh,
Please, pussycat, don't hurt that fly. Don't hurt that fly. She had so much love for that fly just as a creature on earth. And she picked up the fly and moved it out of the way, crying her eyes out, trying to help the fly. Children come in with that energy center full on and blazing. Then obviously the throat is your ability to speak. Your third eye is your ability to use your spiritual gifts and be able to connect with the different clairs, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairvoyance, that kind of thing. And obviously your crown is your ability to connect up and out to the wider ether. But all of those together are supposed to work as one cohesive whole. And because of the traumas that we find in this layer of density, those traumas, if we don't deal with them and release them, cause us to carry emotional trauma, which then, if you don't deal with that, will impact one of your energy centers. And that's basically what we see in the sessions. Everything that we see in terms of our clients, you can track it back to an emotional trauma, normally in childhood, not always, but normally in childhood. And that's how entities get in. So as humans, the energetic body, we're not even told that we have one. In school, they teach you the leg bone's connected to the thigh bone, all of this. There's nothing to do with your root chakras connected to your sacral. None of that.
You need to create that song. We'll start putting it out.
Yeah. But there's no education around this, is there? So that's what we need to bring in as this generation of people that are doing this work. We need to bring into humanity, into the collective consciousness, the awareness that we have another body, that you might not be able to see it with your physical eyes, but you can bet it is there. And if there is an imbalance in that energetic body, it will affect your physical body, your meat suit, your avatar, which is what you interface in this dimension in. So that would be what I would add.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite topics, because when I'm talking to a new person and I'm trying to help them to understand what we do in hypnosis, which there's multiple parts to every session, but the healing that we do in working with the energy and the colors and the sound and the frequencies that we bring through the body, trying to get them to not just see their body as a physical body. That's what we focus on. It's all physical, and we associate all of the physical illnesses and ailments and things that we have with, we try to trace it back to something physical. That's what the doctors look for. But I try to get them to see almost like not an overlay, but like to see that energetic body sort of overlaid with the physical body, and that chakra system, those meridians that run through the body, that auric field that runs out of the body, that toroidal field of energy that spins the energy through your body. And as that energy is flowing in, that connection to source, that grounding to the earth, if it's trying to get through all of those blockages, and then you've got the entities and the attachments, and it's just moving in a chaotic pattern instead of a flow. And I feel like that's what makes people have the difficulties and the challenges that they do. They get triggered, they feel out of balance, they feel out of alignment, they feel those lower emotions because that energy is not flowing so smoothly. So when you do these hypnosis sessions, or when you do any type of energy healing where you're working on releasing that energy, the more and more that you can get out and release and clear and transmute, it's like the energy starts to flow in balance, and you no longer have those triggers that you did. You're no longer feeling so anxious, or things aren't bothering you like they used to. At least that's what I've found for myself. The more work that I do on myself, it's just like, wow, I look back at the way that I used to react to things. I'm like, those things don't even bother me anymore. It's just like, just move right on.
Because you're centered and you're grounded and you're in your power. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, can we talk a little bit more about trauma on the back of what Laura was saying? Because I don't think we talk too much about this in our other conversations we've had, particularly ancestral trauma and childhood trauma, which comes up for me a lot.
Yeah.
So if we could touch on that, that would be awesome.
Well, obviously, ancestral trauma, if it's the mother that carries it as well, when the baby's in the womb, that baby will feel all of that.
Yes.
And it will shape their perception of the world when they come into the world. So you see patterns forming. You know, what affected the mother then ends up affecting the daughter or the son or whatever, and so on and so forth. But with childhood trauma, what is potentially not significant to us as adults is very, very significant through the eyes of a child. And, you know, sometimes you'll get clients where you can't really find the root cause of where they've got this sacral imbalance, and it won't be on their paperwork. But you talk them through their childhood, and at some point they will give you something that through the eyes of a child was enough to cause an issue around the flow of sexuality or around that sacral energy, the flow of creativity. And then you can see how that initial wounding that was very small initially then kind of spiraled out, snowballed out, and became something really, really big. And trauma is the biggest thing in our dimension, in our reality, in terms of what people aren't dealing with. Especially, I mean, in the UK, in Britain, we're encouraged to be very stoic. You know, if something happens to you, raw, get stiff upper lip. You know, if you're a boy, boys don't cry, and all this kind of ridiculous stuff. And so generationally, because that kind of ethos has been passed down throughout generations, people don't deal with the traumas. You're taught to bury it, you're taught to forget it. And in terms of sexual abuse, when a child's been abused, this is our little secret. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. It's all kept secret. And then the emotions build up and up and up and up. And eventually that physical body will start to show an ailment around that energy center that's in balance. So if it's sexual trauma that someone's incurred, that will let in an entity that ironically will be attracted to the feelings of trauma and pain that that person feels, but they will then feed on the light in that energy center. And this is what I find very, very curious. And we find this in our work. Entities are polarized towards the dark, towards service to self, negatively polarized. They perceive, they feel that they hate light, that they're not light. They hate the light. Yet they have to feed off of it. They have to consume it in order to be able to exist. So the light centers that we have on our energetic body is the actual sustenance for these entities. And when you break it down even further, you get different types of entities that prefer to feed off of the different types of energy centers. You get different types of sacral entities that prefer the different sexual proclivities of certain people. This is so complex and so fascinating, but trauma is the key to all of it. And if we all heal our trauma, then we will no longer be able to be prey to these entities, because they won't be able to feed off of us anymore.
It's like you said, it starts at such an early age. It blows me away sometimes how many clients that you work with, and you find out when the entity or the earthbound attached. And so often it is at a young age. And it is so true about, and I'm guilty of it myself as a parent, you know, when they're crying, you're like, oh, hush, 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 you know, you're fine, not letting them express their emotions. Some kids really have it tough. They're just not allowed to speak at all. So if you think of all of that emotion that needs to come out of the body as a physical mass of energy, and as the parent doesn't allow them to express, it's just like we're taking that energy back and storing it all over the body. And it just it just spreads out to where it creates so many things down the road. Um, it's all those blockages, but it starts really early. It's almost like we need to start educating parents how to allow their children to bring the emotion up and out of the body and release it, as opposed to the way that we've been doing it, not letting that energy come out.
And for our, sorry, Karen.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say that a lot of the trauma I see, kind of childhood trauma, is from a feeling of abandonment and not being good enough.
Yeah.
And most of them go way back to when they were in the cot, and they just do not remember. So when you find that energy and you take them back through time and space, they're just as surprised as anyone to have that memory trapped there.
Yeah.
And then when they look at it and we release all that emotion, that's when the real healing begins.
And the
for us
things
as
that can happen in,
practitioners,
I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for us as practitioners, it's like we have to be detectives almost in a way. So you get the paperwork of your client and they've got all of their traumas and issues listed down and physical issues. You listen to what they say to you before the actual hypnotherapy, and you've got to try and work out from the list of those symptoms and issues, okay, well, from this information they've given us here, there's quite clearly an imbalance in the solar plexus area. And if there's an imbalance in the solar plexus area, and that's exhibited by the fact here that this client has no self-esteem whatsoever, they really, really feel that they are worthless and they have no place speaking their truth, then you can tell that there's a solar plexus issue. You can tell that there's also going to be a throat issue, because the throat and the solar plexus are always connected. So then what we have to do is try and work out, when we speak to that client, where that initial wounding came in. Where did that initial wounding happen? And sometimes it won't always come up in the pre-session chat, but you will normally find it out in the actual hypnotherapy itself, because an entity will come up. You'll find out that the entity is attached to the solar plexus and the throat. You will ask the entity, when was it that you got into this one? And they will give you the exact time when they entered that individual. And then you will then be able to help that person heal that initial wounding that sometimes they can't even remember. We had one, Tony, in the recent course, didn't we? The lady that was the course example, she had something at her throat, and the demon at the throat actually told us in the course that it had attached when she was very, very young. She was learning to ride a bike. She was cycling between two trees. There was a rope tied between two trees. She didn't see it, and it basically garroted her at her neck. And it was at that moment that the entity got in through the pain in the throat. And the psyche of the client, when she learned that, she was really upset, because she did not remember and consciously remember that occurring, and the entity actually reminded the client. So what we try to do in session is then heal the initial trauma of that individual, because if you don't heal the initial trauma that allows the entity in, you can take that entity away, but then that client will leave the session, and if they're not healed, they'll just attract a brand new entity that slots right the way in to that same frequency of trauma around the throat. So that's why Soul Center Healing Hypnosis is so profound and so incredible, because we aim to heal that as well in the session.
Tony, do you want to add anything about trauma?
These
Sorry.
things happen all the way back from the womb too, don't they? Like the entities get in from the mother into the womb.
Yeah. So many women will pass a sacral entity onto the baby. So a lot of the issues that I see with people that will constantly miscarry, or if they've had a really traumatic birth, or they've had a very, very small baby, that's normally to do with the fact that the mother themselves has a sacral entity. And what will happen is, if the sacral entity thinks that the mother is going to die during the birthing process, they will attach to the baby. So many people have been born into this realm with an existing energetic parasite. So people that have always felt, I've just always felt sad, always felt an inherent sadness right from being a youngster. And I just don't understand why. They're your clients that were born with a sacral entity because they've never had joy. And it's so sad. They've never had the access to the full force of their energy of joy, which is located in your orange energy center. And I come across, you guys must be the same. I come across a lot of clients that will say that. I've always felt really sad. Even from being a child, I was a sad child. And yes,
Yeah.
that comes in with the starseed thing as well, doesn't it? That feeling of missing home. But it also comes in with not having your full energy.
We're set up to receive trauma right away when we enter this life to our hospital systems. That's not the way we're supposed to be brought into this life. It's just trauma all the way through. And that shit is just hanging out at the hospitals waiting. The childbirth is rough. It's traumatic, the whole thing. We just need to go back to not even going to the hospital for anything, I think.
I've heard people say too that they do that on purpose. I don't know if that's true or not, but like you said,
Oh, yeah.
Tony, the way that the babies are brought in, it was set up that way on purpose to start the trauma. It's interesting when you think about that, how you think you're going into a place that has your best interests, but maybe doesn't. And they don't know it. Probably a lot of the doctors, and they don't know.
Let's go back to childbirth with the dolphins.
So we're not supposed to lay on our backs with our
No.
feet in the air. That's
No.
not the natural way for a woman to give birth. We're
No.
supposed to be squatting down.
And that's what your body tells you to do.
Yeah, it does. When I went into labor with my first, my body physically did that for me.
Mine
I was
too.
like, what the hell's going on here? I was just literally went down to my knees on the floor.
Yeah.
And that was my body's first sign that I'd gone into labor. That's
Yeah.
how we're supposed to give birth, not with our legs in stirrups in that way. It's just designed to rip you open.
Yeah. And your body knows what to do. It's this intelligent being. This is why we're talking about this today. It's amazing.
We
Do we
definitely
wanna-
don't need the tools that the doctor has either to get the baby out of there. That just causes more trauma.
Some of those tools, oh my God.
Medieval.
We're going
They're
off
medieval.
track.
Yeah, they are.
Like, what is that? Oh, anyway.
And nobody listens to you either.
No.
As a first-time mom, I knew that there was something very, very wrong with my labor. I just knew it. And nobody would listen to me. They sent me away with a paracetamol in a cup. Take this paracetamol in a cup, sent me back home. And I hemorrhaged and nearly died from my birth. I nearly died. And I knew, I said to all of them, something is not right. And they're like, you've never experienced this before, lovey. You've never experienced this level of pain before. Just go home. Come back when you're however many centimeters. How the hell are you supposed to know when you're however many centimeters dilated? How are you supposed to know?
Have your husband take a peek down there, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Can you just check this for me, please? What's going on down there?
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
We
Romance
went
is
off,
gone.
we just went off the rail, Kaz.
Well, it's all related to trauma, isn't it?
It is trauma.
So when we've kind of recognized these traumas and we begin to heal, let's talk about what else we find on the body, okay? Because you find oh my gosh, this is so vast. Let's try and keep it. How do we do this? What are your most
How much time
recent?
do we have?
What are your most recent or most interesting things you found? Let's do that.
Guys, go first.
Who?
Tony, you want to go?
I mean, everything from squids to octopus to, there's so many to list. It's crazy.
Tentacly things have been a big thing
Right.
for me lately. The tentacles, they're like, I can see the tentacles and they're just wrapped all the way up through the body. And then it takes a good bit to get them off. You think energetically that you can just, I don't know, but you think you can get them off, but sometimes you have to unwind things and it's all attached, and it's incredible.
And those tentacle things are just walking with the person, just grabbing other energy and just bring it into the body and making it even
Right.
more weighed down, just bringing it all in. I had one that brought in it was in my session, wasn't it, Laura, where they brought in a fairy that
Oh yeah,
it,
yeah.
the
Yeah, I
the
remember
dark
that.
one, the tentacle had brought in a fairy energy into the body as well. And the
Yeah.
fairy's going, I don't know what happened. I was out there tending the flowers and it just reached out and grabbed me. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
So for anyone new to all this, we're not talking about real physical octopus here. We're talking about
That's a good.
Energetic. Yeah.
yeah, on the energetic body, just to
Yeah.
be clear.
Do you think that they just appear that way, like when we're trying to get them to describe, because there's a lot of snakes looking things, and this is of course what the client is seeing. It's not what we're seeing. We're asking the client to feel into their body, and many of them can actually see what's attached. They can see these different AI devices. They can see these different entities. Do you think that that's really what they look like, or that they just present in that way?
In my sessions, I can see them as well.
You can see them.
Yeah. So normally at the root, you'll get the parasitical energies at the root. So not the demons normally, although there is an exception always to every rule. Sometimes I have found a demon with an energetic cord into the root, but it's located in the hip or the leg. But mostly at the root, you'll get the snakes, spiders, weird type parasitical beings that just feed off of that root energy. Sometimes you'll get an earthbound spirit that will locate themselves at the root to feel more stable. And that's why they locate themselves at the root, because the root is your stability. So if you've got somebody that's got a root that's chocked full of earthbound spirits or or parasites, they will say, I just don't feel grounded. I just feel so anxious. I feel like something bad's going to happen at any moment. And that's a classic example of someone that's got an impacted root. There's a heck of a lot going on in there. The powerhouse of the energetic body for demonic activity is normally the sacral energy center and the throat, I would say, for demonic. And sometimes you'll get demonics in the solar plexus as well. People that have got anything like bulimia, people that self-harm will have a solar plexus demonic entity. People that have sexual deviancy, that like to dominate or be dominated, or like to injure people or hurt people, or have a porn addiction or a gambling addiction, will have a sacral demonic entity. People that attack people constantly, and we all know one of these people that's just vicious, that will just, whatever you say to them, they just attack you straight away. They will have a throat demon, solar plexus demon. Those octopus type beings tend to be located around the third eye crown, and they will have tentacles all the way through the nervous system and around the spine, neural pathways of the individual. You'll get snakes wound around the spine. You'll get AI type devices that are in the throat, in the third eye, in the brain, in the eyes, behind the ears. You get implants behind the ears. Sometimes you'll get watches that are placed on people's crowns. So the underlings, demonic underlings that are placed on someone's crown to make sure that that crown never, ever, ever opens. The amount of stuff that you can find on people is, I once saw a gigantic millipede wrapped all the way around somebody, all the way up, feeding off of every single energy center, and that person was almost dead. And normally if somebody's got a demonic entity at sacral, solar, throat, and third eye, they'll be riddled with AI as well. And you'll see AI systems that run from the throat up to the third eye crown and down to the heart. And the purpose of that is to stop that heart energy center from opening, because those guys, the negatively polarized side, have worked out that if our heart energy centers open as humans, it's game over.
Yeah.
If we all open our hearts, it's game over.
Oh, all I gotta say is when we start seeing energy out of our two eyes, people are gonna look awful funny walking around. We'll see cages,
Yeah, cages around people.
octopuses.
Yeah, energetic cages, all sorts of crazy things.
So something new to me, and I've discussed this with Tony and Heather a bit, was that people who have had childhood trauma create their own entity to protect that child in that space, in that trauma.
That can happen, yeah.
So what
I
we've
was
had
there.
to do is go in, get the client to speak to the entity to just say, look, I'm healing from this and I no longer need you here protecting me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that entity will say, look, I'm not trying to harm her. I'm located here to protect her.
Yeah.
But whether they say they're there to protect them or not, at the end of the day, they're causing issues in the energetic body because they're taking light from that person. They have to take light to be attached. So whilever they're taking light, they're causing that person's energetic body to not work and function correctly. Like Tony says, the electrical circuitry is not, if there's a blockage there, it's not going to work correctly.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
And is that the same? Because I've run into thought form entities,
Yeah.
entities just created from, because we're such powerful beings that we could actually create an entity and have it attached to somebody else just because we sent ill will towards them.
Yeah, I had one session like that where it was a not husband, I think they were long divorced, but he was continually sending her just hateful energy, and it was creating these entities that were attached just over and over and over again because the hateful energy was so strong. That's when you have to really learn to protect your energy if you have a person, especially if you know that they are directing hateful thoughts to you, because they can attach those thought forms.
Yeah. Well, it's like being psychically attacked as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people sending black magic your way and all that kind of thing, curses, hexes, or
Yeah.
any kind of energy, any thought, any type of energy sent in somebody else's direction will create something. And that's why as human beings, we all need to become more aware about shielding, about placing our own shields of protection around us that say, I do not consent to receiving any of that energy that's sent my way. Whatever you want to send my way, I do not consent to receive it. And it's really, really important that we all do that, especially if we're in this line of work as well.
Well, let's talk about that next. Let's talk about how we go, Tony.
Well, Vanetta has a question here. She'd like to ask, if you're in a high vibrational frequency, are entities in AI able to stay connected? Don't they detach if there's too much light or if they're feeding off of that?
So, if I may, some of the majority of the clients that I have are some of the highest frequency people on the planet. And they all have things attached to them. And it's because it's like anything over time. That entity becomes used to being attached to that person at the point in time when they were traumatized. So they're an energetic vibrational match at that time when that individual was traumatized. But that person doesn't get over it straight away. They carry that trauma for many, many, many years. Then eventually they might have a spiritual awakening where they all of a sudden realize that they don't need to hold on to that trauma anymore. But by then, that entity has got very, very used to being attached to the vibration of that person. And again, using the analogy of the hot air balloon, your classic light worker is the hot air balloon. It's the balloon stationed on the floor with the ropes and the sandbags. The ropes and the sandbags are your entities, the energetic cords are your ropes. When that light worker has a spiritual awakening and starts to raise their vibration, that shows the hot air balloon rising into the air, but it still can't take off because it's got the ropes and the sandbags attached, which are the entities. What we do is remove those entities, which are the ropes and the sandbags, so then that light worker can then begin the process of raising their vibration fully to the extent of what they can actually achieve themselves. Most people that have carried an entity for so long, they don't even know that they're carrying one. They just think it's a part of them. It's a part of me.
I had that demonic entity when we did for the course that I took with you. You did the entity release on me. And we were both like, there's nothing. He doesn't have anything. And
Yeah.
right out of the gate, this cackling demonic thing. And I remember my conscious mind is over here going, what in the hell is going on? But I couldn't stop it once it was
Yeah.
like up and coming
Yeah.
anyway. So yes, it doesn't matter how high vibrational you feel. I never would have thought that I had what I had on me,
Yeah.
but it's probably been there from a very, well, it was, but it's been with me for a long time. So you don't know.
Yeah. And they just get used to being with you. It's like the frog, isn't it, in the boiling water? If you put a frog into a boiling hot pot of water, it'll jump straight out
Yeah.
because it can't stand it. But if you put that frog in a pot cold and then gradually warm it up, the frog doesn't realize it's being boiled alive. It's the same with the entities. That's why a lot of people are coming to us as clients now saying something's wrong, I just don't understand it. I just feel so sad or so suicidal or so confused or so angry, but I'm a really happy person. What's going on? And it's because their little frog that's attached to them is being boiled alive and he's going, help me, help me, help me. Oh my God, I can't let go of this one because I'm being told over here by my master that don't let go of that one. You're going to be in trouble if you let go of that one. Keep her locked down. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here. But oh my God, this is awful. I feel terrible. So then the person that they're attached to goes, oh, I feel terrible. I need to go and see somebody about this. And that's how we end up seeing them as clients.
Yeah. Tam has a question. Are you able to remove an entity from someone else remotely? I think my son has one, and I would love to answer that one because I just did a surrogate session with, it was the, not the mother-in-law of a gal who was suffering with bipolar and schizophrenia and voices in the head. And she agreed to do a surrogate session for the stepdaughter. I think I'm getting that right. And so we connected very easily through the stepmother and removed the entity, and it was absolutely amazing. Very easy once she connected, and we had all the permission to do that work. But I've since gotten response back that there's no more voices. The voices are gone, and her life is already starting to shift. So years and years of dealing with all of these issues, and of course they're not all gone. There's lots more work that she's going to have to do, but just getting that one entity off, and it was a very angry one. So once we got that entity off, she's started to clear up and her life has begun to transform. So you can absolutely do that through another person.
Yeah. Surrogacy is amazing.
Yeah.
And we have to have consent from the person that's going to receive that healing.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we can use surrogacy. And when you get really, really experienced at energy work, you can do remote entity release as well. But the only thing about remote entity release is if you work remotely on somebody and take their entities away, if you've not done the healing with that person so that they heal the initial woundings, which is why those entities got in the first place, there is always the risk that that individual will then go out and just attract a brand new set because they're still emitting that same frequency of trauma in those particular areas. So that's why the hypnosis is so powerful. Yes, we can do entity release remotely, but the hypnosis is preferable because it's the synergy of the healing for the trauma and the entity release in the same forum that actually is the key.
Tony, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was gonna answer this question from Vanetta as well. She asked, can all BQH similar practitioners help remove these, or do they need specific training to do that? And I was just, it should be a Soul Center Healing Hypnosis practitioner or someone trained in spirit releasement therapy. If you guys have anything else to add on that.
If you are a BQH practitioner and you want to learn more about entity release and how to take these entities off, come and train with me. Come and train in Soul Center Healing Hypnosis, and I will teach you how to do it.
Beautiful. Can we get back to protection? Did we talk about protection? We didn't, did we? We were kind of went off piste.
We always go off the rails, but no, we didn't talk
Do.
about protection.
Okay. Who wants to kick that off? Because it's really simple. It's really just about your intention, right, guys?
Yeah.
And whatever you
Yeah.
put your intention and focus into, however you want to do it or imagine it, whatever works for you. I know Heather likes to use a pyramid, and that came through in one of your sessions, Heather.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
really powerful.
I think the way that I have been taught it is intention, what you intend to do. Simply intending to protect your energy is good. And then the visualization almost anchors in what you're intending to do. So seeing yourself surrounded in light, seeing your home surrounded in light, seeing your devices and your computers and your screens surrounded in light, because those can become portals and ways that these energies can come through. So I always like to protect my screens, my anything electronic, any appliances, my car, all of those things that are electronic are good to put protection around. But just seeing that light, you can use different colors of light. And if you don't feel confident enough to do it yourself, you can ask your guidance. You can ask your higher self to do it. You can call upon the angels, the archangels, whoever you feel connected to. But you can ask them to surround yourself in light. But it's a good practice to have, first thing in the morning and then at night before you go to bed, even in dream time, because you learn in these sessions that a lot happens in the dream state. We need protection there as well. So you got to invoke that protection.
It's not as difficult as everybody makes it out to be either. We are such powerful beings that our simple intention and using that intention, shine your internal light out. There ain't nothing going to attach to you. You shine that light out and put those bubbles of protection, whatever you can envision around you. I always say we have the power of Green Lantern. Whatever we need to imagine, whatever we set intention to, that's what it'll do. We can devise any tool, anything you want. Of course, with me, it's usually about warriors and stuff like that with my armor and shields and swords and love bow. But so whatever you want to focus your attention on. We could take this pen and set an intention into it to help it protect us, and it will be.
Yeah.
So
I use light, and I also use crystals as well. So I connect to the planet and ask Gaia to place crystals around me. So the protection crystals, and then ultimately I place the very last shield that I place all the way around me. And I have source of light shield as well around me. But the last one is a black magic deflector.
Oh,
Curse
that's a good
deflector.
one.
Hex deflector. Anything, malevolent gets returned to sender tenfold.
We need like a list of these things. We need like just a list of what everybody does. So we can just look down and say, I want that one today.
That's a good one, though, because it came up in a session for me recently that be careful what you're watching, because things can be sent to you through the screen. So if you don't do like a bubble of light around your screens, your black mirrors, that hex, what did you call it? Hex deflector. That's a good one to have.
Yeah. I have to put around my children because they've got certain things that they're scared of. So I have to put a moth, spider, crocodile, and stingray deflector around one of
I
my
don't
children
blame them. Don't blame them.
at
The other
night.
the other thing I would say, because everyone's watching all these spiritual channels, right? New agey stuff. I would just say to be careful what you're told. Like, be careful about channeling anything through. Don't be pulling anything in. Don't be playing with stuff that you don't know anything about. You know, be really wary of any of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've just got to
So
be
I
so
think that
careful.
might be a good place to end. Does anyone
Yeah.
want to add anything before we sign off?
Oof. Just gonna shut us off like that.
You still there?
We're not done.
I think
Have we
her
lost everyone?
Actually,
I think
Kaz froze. Yeah, Kaz froze.
there
Oh,
she
she's
is.
there
back.
she is.
There
Oh,
you
I'm
are.
back. Sorry, I thought you guys froze.
No,
Is that
we were
why-
just
is that
chatting
why
and
you
she was
wanted-
like cutting us off.
Is
I
that
keep
why you
saying-
wanted to end?
Oh,
It's the AI. It's on to us.
yeah, we were just talking
always.
about it, and it's like, Where did I
Right.
get to? I was just going to say, does anyone want to add anything before we sign off?
You just couldn't find us anymore, and you were just gonna cut it off.
We're done. We're done. Mic drop.
What,
We're done. Wow.
mic-
Boom.
mic drop.
We're out.
What I would add is, for anybody that's never thought about their energetic body before, go away and have a think about it, research it. If you don't know what it is, take a look into it. Look at what it is that your root energy center does for you. And in order to ground in on a daily basis, all of us are supposed to have shoes and socks off, bare feet, plugged into our planet, receiving the energy from our planet. We are a part of the planet. One of the first things that they did to us, the powers that be, is get us into wearing shoes to disconnect us from the energy of our planet. There's a brilliant company called Earth Runners, and I wear all of their footwear because it has a copper peg in the bottom that just keeps you connected always to the planet wherever you are. But if I'm in the house or I'm in the garden, I will always have shoes and socks off. If you're feeling a little bit ungrounded, a little bit anxious, particularly at the moment with the energies as they are, get out into the woods, into the forest. That's why Tony's so chill. Look at him. Look at this man. Look at that guy. He's like that because he lives in a forest.
Yeah.
You know, he's there surrounded by thousands of trees. That is the place to be. They are pillars of light. We see them as trees. They are pillars of light. That their root connection connects them straight the way down into Gaia. The fastest way you can reset your frequency is to have a back against a tree and to connect down into the planet. Think about the woundings and the traumas that you had as a child. Think about them, really think about them. Have you got over them? Did they seem to spiral and lead on to something else? Because you were made fun of as a child in front of the classroom by the teacher? Did that then spiral into trying to find a partner and being a people pleaser and a series of failed relationships? Look at your life, look at the areas where you've had trauma and think, have I healed? And if you haven't, then you need to do some work with somebody to remove any entities that have got in through those traumas and to have your energetic body cleansed and cleared. And what we do in Soul Center Healing Hypnosis as well is with the archangels, we will remove any trauma that's still held in the energy centers as we rebuild the energy centers with Gaia and Source. Gaia, we are a part of. Earth, we are a part of. Source, we are a part of, because we are a fractal of Source in a human suit, having a human experience. So we do all of this in the hypnosis, and any entities we will remove. But the first thing that I would say to everybody is just have a think about your energetic body. This might be the first time you've ever thought about it. You've got a root energy center which keeps you grounded and stable. This is to do with your finances, to do with your relationship, to do with your stability in the world. And we've all got our stability being shaken at the moment due to food shortages, petrol, diesel prices, you name it. There's a million and one different things going on, isn't there? Your sacral energy center, do you have any sexual trauma? Do you feel like you've got a lack of joy in your life? Have you got confidence issues? Are you constantly seeking people's adoration? That's a solar plexus issue. Do you feel like your heart's open? Do you feel like you can love? Is your throat working? Do you feel like you can speak up, or do you attack people? Can you connect up here? Can you connect inside? Do you feel connected to source? And if you've got any issues with any of those things, that's a good place to start in terms of your energetic body.
Beautiful. Tony, Heather, do you want to, any last words before we?
With these crazy energies, you know, if I feel like I'm spinning out of control, if I feel like I'm anxious, I mean, I guess I am blessed. I could just walk outside in my bare feet, and that grounding, getting against a tree, helps so much to get you back into balance. These energetic bodies are so important to keep in balance, to get it back into balance and then keep into balance. And just getting outside in nature, grounded. I mean, that's what I did this weekend. I walked up to my fairy place. It's just a beautiful spot where the fairies, I'm sure they're there. And I found that lion's mane. And it was just a perfect place to be. You could just feel everything, all the stresses and everything just sucked out of you there. That's it's so important.
Everything's right there, isn't it, in nature? Everything we need. All the food, we put seeds in the ground. The water and the sun will make those seeds grow. We can build shelter. We've got everything we need. As humans, we just make things way more complicated. I just want to unhook from society and just go back a few thousand years to how we used to live, because humans were much happier.
Yeah. Do you mean back thousands of years when we had advanced tech as well? Because that would be handy.
I'm not even bothered about the tech. I'm not interested.
There's a few things I wouldn't mind having.
I just want to go back to a time where we've got everything that we need in terms of comforts, but we live in harmony with the planet and we connect as humans again.
Connection.
That's what I miss more than anything.
We're missing that.
If I think about it too much, it could take you to your knees.
Well, I was just going to say hugging is a good way to ground as well. And if you haven't got a human to hug, go hug a tree. But hugging really sorts me out.
Or a pet.
It really does.
That's all you need is a hug.
It's all I need. And I'm like, I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But you're connected in that heart energy when you connect with another human that way. You're given that hug and you're right in the heart space, which is healing, which is grounding, it's everything. The heart space is everything. And if our heart spaces aren't open up, love conquers all. It's said all over the place. Love conquers all, and it's true. That's the hug.
Biggest force, isn't it? Stronger than anything.
All you need is a hug.
Oh,
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
And singing and dancing, obviously.
I love it. Well, that's what the guides say in the sessions. Get into nature, sing and dance. Do more things that bring joy to your heart. It is getting back into that heart energy. We are so serious and anxious, and there's plenty of reason to be. But if you can just get into that heart energy, feel love, just get out of your house. Like you said, put your feet on the ground, get out into nature. That's all you need.
Beautiful. Well, let's leave it there for now. We've done quite well this time. That's about an hour. So it's pretty good. I'd like to thank everyone for watching our show, and please like, share and subscribe to our channels. Spread the energetic body word, and we'll see you next month.
Well, let's put our plugs in there though too, so they know where to find us. Are you going to put it in the description, Kaz?
It should be in the description, but
perfect.
Yeah, I didn't do the intro thing, did I?
Tony from Ropes and Wings. Everything is Ropes and Wings. ropesandwings.com for a session. Any questions? Anything?
Heather?
Quantum Healing Within is where you can find me.
And Laura?
www.schhofficial.com. which stands for Soul Center Healing Hypnosis.
Beautiful.
Boom, boom. There we go.
Thank you, Alice, for being our lovely
Thank you,
moderator
Alice.
as well.
Thank you for all the questions and everyone who joined us today. We
Yeah,
love you
thank
guys
you.
so much.
And we'll see you soon.
Love you
All
all.
right.
Bye.